So 2 days ago I made a video of the most expensive Celtic 11 of all time, and you people would seem to enjoy it. It went down pretty well, so here I'm all pandering to you once more and giving you all what you want, and also just going to get some views pretty much. You all wanted to see this by the looks of it. Well, not all. There was a few people in the comments who wanted to see this video. So here we are. We're going to be doing the most profitable Celtic 11 of all time. Basically, the players we brought in the most money for. It was difficult to find players position by position. So there's a few people missed out who actually sold for higher than a couple of players in a squad. But I wanted it to be enough to have like 4 defenders and 4 midfielders, etc, etc. So the likes of like Gary Hooper isn't in this team. Well, Gary Hooper might actually be in this team. I don't know. I can't remember it now. Anyway, let's just head into what is the most profitable Celtic 11 of all time. So we start off with the same player as we started off with last time. It was the most we ever spent on a keeper, and it's the most we ever sold for a keeper. We made a heroic type profit on this man. Fraser Forster, who we brought in from £2 million from Newcastle United, made about 190 appearances or so in his time at Celtic, 1 or 2 of those seasons on loan, but eventually did sign, and boy was he worth signing. He made some fantastic appearances for the club, some memorable nights as mentioned before, so I'm not going to go into much depth. Keeping, I think, 79 clean sheets, breaking records in one season as well, lifting 3 league titles and 2 Scottish Cups. So, you know, he was a massive player for us, and eventually at the end of his career, when it was time to go, we did make good profit. £10 million we sold him to Southampton for in August 2014, so a massive profit of £8 million. Smart piece of business, and he was a great player for Celtic, and he's doing well at Southampton, truly showing his class. On to defenders, and the first defender is the Welshman Adam Matthews, who was signed in 2011 for a free transfer actually from Cardiff, and he came in and he was really an alternate right back between him and Mikael Lustig. They always rotated around that position, although sometimes Matthews, if need so, would be deployed on the left. He came in for Celtic and he done a few jobs for us. He was quite good. He was a strong player. He made about 150 appearances, winning 4 league titles, 2 Scottish Cups and a League Cup. So he was a highly decorated player at the club. But eventually, you know, it just looked as though he wasn't going to get in the team over Lustig, and we did in fact sell him in 2000 and what year was it he went? What year was it? 15, that was it. 2015, we sold him for £2 million to Sunderland, where he really struggled to get in the Sunderland side, to be honest, and now he's ended up in Bristol or something like that. But he was, I really liked the guy. I thought he was unlucky that a lot of people just preferred Lustig, I think. But he was a really good player. Not the biggest fee that we sold him for, but £2 million nonetheless, a £2 million profit for Celtic. The second defender is the big Englishman Kelvin Wilson, who we also picked up on a free transfer as we signed him on a pre-contract in June 2011. He was brought in from Nottingham Forest, and he was a very reliable and strong centre-back. I was a big fan of the guy. I feel like he was a bit underrated, but he was an integral part of the Celtic squad for the few years he was in the team. He was another one of those players who were an important part of the Champions League side of 2012-13 when we got to the last 16. He played the night against Barcelona, and he was solid and always reliable. I thought he was a great defender, and when we picked him up for free and ended up selling him back to Nottingham Forest in 2013 for a fee of £2.5 million. So more profit was made there for Celtic, and in his time at Celtic he enjoyed winning 2 league titles and a Scottish Cup as well. He was a player who I wish could have stayed a bit longer at Celtic. I feel like his time was very short, and he was a strong defender. I thought he was extremely talented. The next defender is one that many Celtic fans loved and would have loved to have seen stay at the club, but he's making a name for himself down in England, and that is Virgil van Dijk, who we signed back in 2013 for £2.6 million from Groningen. It might be one of the best £2.6 million Celtic could have ever spent. He came to Celtic and he showed how much of a class centre-back he can be. He made about 100, just over 100 appearances probably. He scored goals from the centre-back position as well. He was a great centre-back. He was always reliable. He was strong. He was a great tackler. He could really do everything, and that's why it earned him a move down to England by the end of his Celtic career. At his time at Celtic, he won 2 league titles and a League Cup. And it's just a shame that he didn't stay longer, but obviously his career has progressed massively. He went down to Southampton for £11.5 million. We made massive profit on him, and now there's talks about him going to the likes of Manchester City for his fees high as £70 million. He's truly one of the best defenders Celtic have seen in recent times, and his career's only getting better and better and better, and we're going to get a share of the money, which is even nicer. The final defender isn't really a defender, so it's kind of cheating, but it was the only way I could fit 4 defenders into the squad by moving them back, and it is Victor Wanyama. The day I remember hearing about the signing of Victor Wanyama, my thought to myself was, who? Why? Why are we signing this guy? We signed him from a team in Belgium for £900,000 in 2011. I was thinking to myself, this is going to be a player who goes absolutely nowhere. And boy, was I wrong. Personally, my favourite Celtic player in my lifetime, I think, one of them anyway, maybe by the exception of like Scott Brown, but what a player. He came in for Celtic and he was an absolute tank. Another important part in that Champions League last 16 side that we had in 2013. He scored one of the goals against Barcelona that night at Parkhead, and he was just class. He could play centre half, he could play centre mid, he was an absolute beast. And that earned him a move down to England later on in his career. When he was at Celtic, he won the Scottish Premier League twice, he won a Scottish Cup. He didn't make as many appearances as other players, but he was that good that he couldn't spend a lot of time at Celtic. Ended up making a move down to Southampton in 2013 for £12.5 million, which makes Victor Wanyama Celtic's biggest ever sale. The most money we have ever brought in for a player. Crazy money for Victor Wanyama, and he's having now he's down at Spurs. He's had an absolutely great career down there. It's only going to get better for the guy. On to the midfield, and the first midfielder is none other than Stan Petrov, one of the best midfielders we've seen in the past like 15 years. At Celtic, he was signed in 1999 for a fee of, what was it again, like £2 million. It was £2 million from CSKA Sofia. He was actually signed by John Barnes, one of the better signings that Barnes brought in, and one of the better things John Barnes done altogether, and ended up becoming a key and integral part of Martin O'Neill's squad later on between 2000 and 2005. He was favoured by Martin O'Neill so much that he was took by Martin O'Neill to Aston Villa when he became the Villa manager for a fee of £6.5 million. So we made quite a good bit of profit on him as well, and he was a great player, and he ended up going down and doing a fantastic job at Aston Villa as well. I really liked the guy, and he had a great career at Celtic. He got to the UEFA Cup final, he won the league 4 times, he won the League Cup 3 times, he won the Scottish Cup 3 times. As good a career as you can have. The second midfielder is none other than the Irish international Aidan McGeady, who at his time with Celtic when he signed in 2004 ended up winning 3 league titles, 2 Scottish Cups and 2 League Cups. He was here under the management of Martin O'Neill and Gordon Strachan, and eventually decided to leave Celtic for quite a bizarre move in 2010, where he was sold to Spartak Moscow, but for a fee of £9.5 million at the time, becoming our record sale. That was massive money for Celtic. There's no way we could turn it down. Still confused on why he went to Russia, but he went to Russia either way. Ended up spending a little bit of time there before heading to Everton in the Premier League. He invented that mad McGeady, I don't even know if he invented it, I just remember the McGeady spin. That's my main highlight of him, but he was a great playmaker. Someone who I would have loved to have seen stay at Celtic, but obviously we couldn't turn down money like £9.5 million. The next and last midfielder is Ki Sung-hyung, the South Korean that we signed in 2010, the January transfer window. He didn't stay long at all at Celtic, to be honest. I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen him stay a little bit longer. He was a great playmaker and he had a lot of skill and he could have done a lot for Celtic. But in his time he ended up staying for about a year and a half and then took the move over to Swansea. We also made profit on him. We spent about £2.1 million on the player, and it's estimated we sold him in the region of £5.5 to £6 million. So once again, more profit was made, and you notice that Celtic are very good at making profit on these sort of players, but at the same time we also sign a lot of duds. He didn't do a massive amount at Celtic. He only won 1 Premier League title and a Scottish Cup. As I said, he didn't stay long, and who knows, if he stayed longer he could have been a very big player at Celtic, but ended up taking the move to Swansea and he's done quite well for himself down there. On to the forwards. First forward being Mark Viduka, a player who was not the most liked of individuals, who signed in, I think it was 1998, yep, 1998 he was signed for a fee of £3.5 million. He didn't have the best of careers at Celtic. He won 1 League Cup in his time, and he was sold when Martin O'Neill came into management. He was sold for a fee of £6 million, I suppose, so there's a highlight. The next player is someone who had an incredibly short spell at his time at Celtic, and it is Paolo Di Canio, who was signed in 1996 for a fee of £1 million from AC Milan. He came in, they done what he had to do, I suppose. In 26 league appearances, he scored 12 league goals. He sadly didn't win any trophies with the club, and that was his only season at Celtic. And then he was off. We ended up selling him though for £4.5 million to Sheffield Wednesday. He could play as a forward, he could play as a winger, and he went on. He's had quite, he's quite a well-known player. Went on, ended up scoring a mad cracker of a goal for West Ham and that. Not much of a Celtic career, I suppose. Only lasted a year. But the fact is, we sold for £4.5 million, which puts him on this list. The final player then of this squad, and the final forward of this squad, is none other than Englishman Gary Hooper, who is signed from Scunthorpe for a fee of £2.4 million in 2010 and ended up staying 3 seasons with Celtic. He was massively liked. He was a great goal scorer, wearing the number 88 shirt, not for the reason to do with Celtic, it was actually his buff year he wore it for, but we signed him for £2.4 million and he enjoyed quite a strong career at Celtic. He won 2 league titles and 2 Scottish Cups, making 130 appearances and scoring 82 goals. He was a great goal scorer, and that ended up getting him a move down to England into the Premier League with Norwich for a fee of £5 million. So he made about £2.5 million profit on him. It's a shame though, when he went down to England, he struggled to really get into the Norwich team, and now he's at Sheffield Wednesday. He's just kind of fluttered around the Championship for the past couple of seasons. He probably could have stayed on at Celtic and really ideal, like icon, make himself an icon. I'm using that word icon again, but a great player nonetheless for Celtic. £5 million, not bad money to bring in. Right then lads, that does it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It does mean a lot as we keep smashing these like and subscriber goals. So thank you all very much for being so supportive on the channel recently. Even though I'm just kind of abusing the same topic for this video. But aye, let's move on anyway. Anyway, from me, I'm 118. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you all next time.